A good property manager will either make or break your property investment journey. So my name is Thomas O'Regan. I'm a buyer's agent. I help people invest in property here in Australia. I have a 9-property portfolio myself, and I help people build and strategize to grow a property portfolio. It's very easy to get 1 or 2 properties, but once you get past 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, it starts to get a little bit more complicated. So there is a bit of a strategy to it, and if you want to grow to that sort of numbers quickly, get someone on your team that's done it before. Anyway, guys, I wanted to talk about property managers today and how important it is to get the right property manager on your team. Because if you don't, what will happen with your property is the tenant will shit on it. The tenant will shit on your property and you will never want to do property investing ever again. Okay? So let me tell you a story about the first property I ever bought. It was a house. I got the first homeowners grant and everything. 3-bedroom house, backyard, front yard, all that jazz. Moved out of it to move into our second property, and we got tenants in. The tenant, the property manager that I had, I didn't know, but the property manager I had at the time was a terrible property manager. I didn't know what a good property manager looked like, so I just hired the first one that I spoke to on the phone. And this property manager got some tenants into my property, and within 3 months, they had infested the entire property with cockroaches, literally hundreds of cockroaches, hundreds. And we had to get pest control after they left, and it took about a month to get all the cockroaches dead and cleaned up in a dustpan. It was crazy. I have a picture of a dustpan full of cockroaches. I had to clean it myself. And they moved out and they left all their furniture in there. It was shit furniture. I had to pay to get the furniture removed, and I had to renovate the property after they'd gone as well because they'd trashed the place. So the moral of the story is, if you're gonna invest in property, invest in finding a good property manager. Okay, so what a good property manager will do, the most important thing that a good property manager will do is they will find you a good tenant for your house or apartment or whatever the property is. They will find you a good tenant. And this includes doing the marketing campaign, reaching out and contacting these inquiries and applications and these people. And the reality is whoever's on this marketing campaign needs to understand times of the essence. Finding a good tenant may be applying for a property, but if you choose to just put that on the back burner and not look at their application for a few days because you're too busy, that ideal tenant might, instead of going for your property, go and pick another one, right? So you need a property manager that is good, and they need to understand how to get a good tenant into your property, okay? If a property manager is doing a marketing campaign for your property and they're taking photos with their phone sideways, and they're taking photos of the property when the blinds are down and it looks terrible, that is a terrible property manager, because the marketing they do for your property is going to have a direct effect on how many people inspect your property, okay? So, also, I don't know what else is going to say about property managers, but it's very important that you get a good one, okay? I am not a property manager, and I don't need to learn how to be a property manager. I'm a buyer's agent. I invest in properties. I have 9 properties. I know how to seek and find and acquire a good property manager. That doesn't mean I need to be a property manager or know every single little bit of what a property manager does. I just need to know how to look for what a good property manager looks for. I have a checklist. I like to interview. I like to interview a lot of property managers. If I'm going to buy a new property, into a new area, I like to interview 10 managers. That's like a rule of mine, because even if you find the best property manager is on the first call, you can find out a lot of other stuff about property managing and how people manage properties and the processes through your interview questions, all right? And once you start asking one property manager questions, it triggers like other questions in your mind to look out for and ask for, and that sort of stuff. So the interviewing process of property managers is almost like a learning process for you as well. Okay, so, and it's teaching you how to ask property managers the best question to find the best property manager. Also, the reason I like to interview 10 property managers at a time is because they all have different rates, and it's good to see what the rate, like the market rates range is. You know, like the market, the range of rates might go from say 8% being the really high ones, and then the ones that are very low are 7%. And it's just interesting to see what the differences will be if you were to pay the 8% over this 5%. And it could very well be that the one that is 5% is also one of the best property managers. So just keep that in mind. Just because their rate's so high doesn't mean they're the best, and whatever. But also, if you do find that maybe the best property manager in your opinion is the one that's got the highest rate, and do not just pick the one that's got the highest rate because you perceive them to be the best because they've got the highest rate. Pick them to be the best because they are answering all the questions correctly, okay? The interview questions, I mean. Also, you can negotiate the rate. Property management fees are pretty much always negotiable, and the reason is because once a property management contract is in place, and good property managers should know this, it is very, like, there is not much to do if they understand they need to find a good tenant, okay? So property managing should only be something that requires them or the property managers to sort of engage in on the property once every 2 months or so, having a conversation with the tenants about issues, that sort of thing. But, if you have a property, a tenant, and they are inquiring, or they are having conversations with the property manager every month, every 2 weeks, they're probably a bad tenant. And the reason you want a property manager is because having constant conversations all the time about property and what's wrong with it and all that sort of stuff is extremely stressful as someone that is either doing a full-time job and just investing in property on the side. You don't want that stress in your life. It is so worth the cost of just paying the property manager to do all that sort of stuff. Tenant. Why'd I do that? I don't know. Sorry. Anyway, guys, I think I pretty much covered all I want to say about property managers and why you need them if you're a property investor. And yeah, have a good one.